Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Kenny Fogle here on Community Focus. Glad you could be with me tonight, and this could be a little different interview than I do sometimes, as I'm going to actually be the one that gets interviewed. So I got Maggie Coffman here. She called and said she'd like to do a little school project. She's thinking about getting into the TV and radio industry, something of that nature. And hey, you know, if you got some questions for me, maybe other people do too. So it's a good thing to have. Maggie is a freshman at Thomas Nelson High School.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, Maggie. I appreciate you being here and being on the show.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
So you think about you want to get into the media world?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been like a really big part of what I want to do.
Well, it's an interesting world that we live in here, but it's a funny world. But again, go ahead and ask me whatever questions you got. Maybe we'll both learn something.
Okay. So how does your organization prepare individuals to enter or re-enter the workforce, and what does this process look like?
Well, as far as the media business, how to get people interested is basically people like yourself that we recruit people that seem to be interested in a lot of things, whether it's it's a variety of subjects. I mean, if you got somebody that's a science person, you know, they're mostly going to go into science. But media people you find are just a very diverse people. They're interested in just about everything under the sun, from religion to politics to science to just about anything. And how you recruit them is basically media people in a large part recruit themselves. I mean, they sort of seek out a place to reach an audience. And what we do is we encourage them to do that. And you see this go off in just about most media is starving for people that are wanting to tell a story. And whether that's radio, TV, or even newspaper, it's not a lucrative career to start with, but it's a career that really encourages people to just express themselves. And that's sort of what we do, is we just let people express themselves and show their fascination with what we're doing, and it goes both ways. Okay, so what's your next question?
Okay. So what on-the-job training opportunities do you offer for your new employees?
Well, what most media outlets do is they start with an internship, and you'll find that quite often with most media, that they'll let people come in. They don't pay them right off the bat, because that's why it's an internship. But they'll bring them in and say, okay, you know, here's what your assignments are. You're going to follow the school board this month, or you're going to do stories on environmental stuff, or maybe it's just, hey, you know, find me some stories and bring in here. So most of the time you'll see a lot of media outlets, almost all of them, are tickled to death with an internship, because what it is, they get somebody that's wanting to do what you do. They're wanting to work, they're wanting to get some experience, they're wanting to learn the trade, but the media most often doesn't really have a position for them, or they don't have any money, so it's a trade-off. It's okay, I'm going to give you this experience, I'm going to help you as much as I can to get you involved in this, but at the same time, you're going to be doing most of the work, and then most likely you're not going to get paid. All right, so hopefully that'll get you a start in the business anyway. Okay.
What learning opportunities do you provide your employees to improve workplace performance?
Well, learning opportunities primarily is just on-the-job training of mentoring. I guess mentoring is probably the number one part of media, because people go to school, you learn the basics of what grammar is, you learn the basics of what it takes to express yourself. But the main thing is, and I've seen this over and over, is people come into the business that don't really know a lot. They know the basics of what they're supposed to do, but the primary thing is if you're going to develop a good employee and give them the opportunity to grow, you've got to, first of all, let them make their own mistakes. And I've had people, and myself included, that make mistakes on the air. I mean, I've made many mistakes live radio or situations like that. But mentoring primarily is just saying, okay, yeah, you did a good job yesterday on that particular news story or that particular commercial, but here's what you can do better. Here's a word that you don't pronounce well. You know, let's either practice pronouncing that word well, or I had one case, and one gentleman that worked for me one time years ago, young guy. I just flat told him, don't ever say that word on the air because you can't pronounce it properly. So that's sort of the way you do it. And I don't know to this day if he does or not, but that's what you do. And it's more of a mentoring thing. If you find somebody in the media business that is interested in helping you, they'll point out what you're doing wrong, encourage you what you're doing right, and again, it provides you more opportunity than anything you could possibly do, is just give you that encouragement to go on, even when you mess up. And that's the biggest thing, you're going to mess up. If you're in media, you are going to, at some point, say something wrong, pronounce something wrong, stutter, freeze up. I mean, we all have done that at a point where if you ask me a question, I have that deer in the headlight looks. You'll recognize that when you're interviewing somebody too. So we're all going to screw up on the air. I've done it so many times that my outtakes would probably be much longer than any interview I've ever done. But as long as you understand you're going to screw up and to keep moving on and have people understand that you're just human, then a good mentor will teach you that. All right, what we got?
All right, so do you partner with outside organizations, and what does this look like?
Media partners with everybody. I mean, you're dealing with the school systems, you're dealing with the police departments, you're dealing with, like today I went down to the hospital. The hospital had a event that's going on. Well, that was sort of a partnership. Their deal is they've got news they've got to get out. They want to get out. They want the public to know about. They call us. We're in the business. We want to give out news. That's what we do. If we don't have news, if we don't have something informative or educational or funny or entertaining to talk about, we're out of business. So that's sort of a symbiotic relationship. I went down to the hospital today. They had news for me. It gave me something to present to the public here on television. So now that's a great relationship. Same way at the police department. Police department may they're looking for somebody, or they got something good news going on, or there's something going on that they really want to get to the public. Immediately, the first thing that goes off in their head, they got to contact the media. Because as much as people complain about the media in some ways, we need each other. Because we're the way you get the information to people. And like I said, whether it's the police department, the school board, if they're going to call off school and want to talk about it. I mean, yeah, they can send out an email and call off school, but if there's some parts of it that they want to talk about, they want to get on the media. They want to get on there and explain a little bit more in detail. So we're tickled to death to be there because that's what we do. But without each other, if we didn't have partners in every single part of business there is, we just couldn't survive. I mean, even the distilleries here in Bardstown or some other company, if they've got news they've got to get out or want to get out, they call us. And we're tickled to death to do it because that's what we do. If they didn't call us, we wouldn't have a television station. All right.
And then finally, what does your organization provide a mentorship program? Does your organization provide a mentorship program for new employees?
Well, basically all media does. Now, I can't speak for Channel 6 because I don't own Channel 6, but working here, I know that the Gary White is the general manager, and obviously always looking for some help. And I know he's had some interns over the years, so yeah, there's always an internship opportunity. When I worked at the radio station, we had interns that come in from different high schools over the summer. Most of the time they would work. And so just about every media outlet is, again, they love interns because it trains them and it helps build a new generation of journalists and media people, but at the same time it doesn't cost us anything. And if you make a mistake, we're there to help and we're there to move you back along the way. And sometimes people will learn when they take an internship that it's not for them. I've had some people that come in and they'll be on the air or even behind the scenes, and they'll come back after a few months and I don't like this job. I don't like what it does. I have to deal with a lot of issues I don't like to deal with. I don't have to. Some people just simply don't want to be on television or on radio or writing something like that. And I like writing. I did some writing for sports for a few years ago, and working on radio and working in television and working in newspapers, all three different things. I was writing a column for a sports in the local newspaper, and it was terrible. Terrible column because I wrote the way that I would if I was on radio. And that's not the way the newspaper works. And then the sports editor came to me and said, Kenny, maybe this isn't the job for you because you don't write like a sports person would write. And maybe I don't. I write, if I'm going to tell a story, I usually start at the beginning and go to the end. And when you're reporting a basketball or football game, it didn't work that way. They wanted to hear the highlights and then build on it later. Well, that wasn't my style. So they said it wasn't for you. I agreed with them and learned from interning and from a mentor that that's probably not the best way to go. So I'll ask you a question or two. Now, basically, what is your interest? I mean, are you interested in politics, environment, and what interests you? If you were going to get on the air and interview somebody, what would be your main interest?
I'm more interested in like what's going on in the community and what do they absolutely need to know about. So if there was something going on, like an outbreak of something, then I would be able to tell them and get them all informed on how to maybe prevent it and all of that.
Okay. So bad news, good news, or just whatever comes about?
Bit of whatever, like whatever's
okay.
needs to be known about.
Okay. So Thomas Nelson High School, it's a good high school?
It is.
I spent this part of the day out there today. It's a nice school. So who's your teacher out there?
I have multiple, but our Care and Connect teacher is Miss Cole, and she's a great teacher.
So basically, did she give you this homework? I guess everybody got the homework.
Everybody got it.
Everybody got the homework. You're the only one ended up on television. All right, well, I'll let you finish up here. Tell everybody your name again and where we're at, Channel 6 TV, and we'll get out of here.
My name is Maggie Coffman, and this is Channel 6 TV for Bardstown, Kentucky. And bye.
We'll be right back.